and welcome to SEACHA's Cha Time. This is Cha Time number 29, and I'm very excited to welcome you all to be here today. My name is Amanda Ong, and I am a representative of the Siam Society under royal patronage in Bangkok, Thailand. And the Siam Society under royal patronage is one of the founding members of SEACHA, the Southeast Asian Cultural Heritage Alliance. And I will also be your moderator today. So I'm excited to welcome you today to our 29th Cha Time, titled How World Heritage Sites Are Countering Climate Change with Mr. Matthew Hu. This event will include a half-hour presentation from Mr. Matthew and then a roundtable discussion. So I would like to welcome first our two roundtable members. Roundtable member Mr. Fauzy Ismail is the SEACHA Director Singapore, and the other roundtable member is Ms. Momo Lwin, who is the SEACHA Director of Myanmar and the Director of the Yangon Heritage Trust. Thank you so much for being here, our two roundtable members. And I would now like to introduce Ms. Momo to deliver the welcome remark. Thank you very much for being here today, Ms. Momo.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, speaker, moderator, and audience. My name is Momo Lwin, SEACHA Director from Myanmar and Director of the Yangon Heritage Trust. Cha Time with SEACHA is one of our current activities that has been successfully presented since 2020. Cha is tea, and so this is a Cha Time talk, tea time talk. We organize this once a month on Saturday afternoons, and each year we have a new theme for our Cha Time talk. We are happy to announce that this episode of Cha Time is our first under the new theme, From Tradition to Innovation, Asian Wisdom in Climate Action. Under this theme, we will invite speakers from across Asia to speak to the application of Asian cultural wisdoms under the wide range of topics applying to climate actions. We are also transitioning from our previous format of presentation with a Q&A to a shorter presentation from our speakers, featuring a more open roundtable discussion. We believe, will motivate more participation from the audience. The presentation will be about 20 to 30 minutes, followed by an activity and roundtable discussion for 45 minutes up to an hour. We encourage you to participate in discussion as well as to ask questions, if any. Today is our 29th episode of Cha Time on the topic of how World Heritage Sites are countering climate change. This talk will be led by Mr. Matthew Hu. Matthew was born and raised in Beijing. He has been working on the preservation of China's built heritage since 2006. On behalf of the Princess Charities Foundation China, he completed Beijing's first Hutong Museum, the SEACHA Hutong Museum, in 2013. He is currently the trustee of the Beijing Cultural Heritage Protection Center, CHP, and co-founder of the Kojet Institute. Thank you very much, Matthew, for joining us today. And without further ado, I would like to invite Matthew to take on the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Momo, for the warm welcome, including me in this exciting Cha Time. I must apologize because I prepared myself a little bit coffee instead of cha for this afternoon session. But I am a big tea drinker. So I'm going to share with you what I've done in the past 2 months. It's a joint project, research project, working together with a Chinese foundation, Wanke Foundation. So I'm going to share the screen now. As Amanda and Momo introduced the topic, the theme is From Tradition to Innovation. So we are working. I guess people attending this Cha Time session will be mostly from the heritage sector. But because of the theme of this topic, maybe there will also be people from environmental protection aspect joining us. So I have to say I'm not an expert on environmental protection issues. So I'm going to share with you some of my findings only. If there's anything that may wrongly stated, please just feel free to correct me. So the reason that we did this research project was because in 2020, the first year of COVID, actually right before the COVID broke out in China, the Palace Museum worked with Wanke Foundation. Wanke Foundation is a foundation funded by Wanke Real Estate Development Group. The founder, Mr. Wang Shi, was very keen on promoting the awareness on environmental protection. So after his formal retirement from the company, he founded this foundation. And in 2020, they started a project with the Palace Museum aiming at achieving the goal of zero waste in the Palace Museum. As you can see, this is a poster from the Palace Museum, and they have used some of the traditional paintings to describe the vision of this project. So this partnership between Wanke and the Palace Museum, they have made multiple milestone achievements in many different fields. First of all, they have really made an impact on the dust bins, trash bins. I'm a frequent visitor of the Palace Museum, so I have noticed personally that the number, first of all, aesthetically, all the trash bins in the Palace Museum looks much better. So they have invited very well-known designers to redesign the dustbins. And also they have reallocated the distribution of these trash bins. As we all know, we can't really offer to place this dustbin everywhere in a heritage site, because that will only encourage people to throw more trash. So actually, after they carefully measured and rearranged all the trash bins, the total number of dust bins as a set, as a group, reduced from 310 to 110. So that's a dramatic decrease. But we don't see tourists coming in and throw away trash everywhere. Actually, people becoming more well-behaved. So sorry, there's a mistake in terms of date. By 2021 August, the total number of kitchen waste was also reduced by 11.1%. By saying kitchen, because the Palace Museum has over 3,000 staff, so they will have to eat. They have a staff canteen. So aside from that, there's before COVID, we have over 18 million visitors to the Palace Museum. During COVID, the number reduced, but in the past 2 years, we can see this is coming back. So 2021, 22, 23, we see this number steadily growing back to the normal rate. So it's so there are kitchens catering to the visitors' need. So that has also been reduced. Other than these two most important achievements, they have also built a recycling center, but that's mainly for the cleaning staff of the Palace Museum. They have also trained the cleaning staff to do compost stations, because as we all know, there are many trees, flowers in the Palace Museum, and the fallen leaves will becoming a very main source for this measure. They have also done a number of art installations using recycled materials. in the Palace Museum to raise awareness. Also, they have joined the COP28 meeting held last year in Dubai, together with, I believe, the delegation from the Palace Museum met with Science Society delegation last year. So basically, that's the partnership. So after they have done this partnership, earlier this year, they have come up with a new idea. They would like to find out what the other people are doing in terms of countering the climate change. The whole idea is that to remind people that other than how climate change affected or threatened the World Heritage Sites, on the other hand, with good management, we can also, through the activities or policies adopted by World Heritage Sites administrations, we can significantly contribute to reduce the climate change effect. So that's the whole idea. And Wanko Foundation would like to find a partner. So Beijing Cultural Heritage Protection Center, we were very honored to take on this challenge. So because time is very limited, we only started doing this in early February. So we have focused on doing case studies. So we recruited a number of young scholars, and we asked them to fill out a number of forms. And then we have group meetings among them. And then this is the group of volunteer team that we have assembled. All of them are Chinese young scholars from different parts of the world. So they are familiar with the world's trends or tendencies. And most of them, they have a heritage management or policy study or historical building restoration experience in the past. And these are the number of cases that we have researched. Many of them are focused in Europe, North America, and Australia. But we have also done a number of research in Asia. As we all know, there are over 900 cultural heritage, world cultural heritage sites in the world, because we are developing this idea from this collaboration between Wanko and Palace Museum. So we are only focusing on the cultural heritage sites instead of all world heritage sites. We have, as of now, 1,199 world heritage sites, but among them, I believe there were 960 or 950 cultural sites. So we are only looking at this 950 sites. And among them, because the limits of manpower and time, we only researched about 16 more in depth. And so this is to share with you a glimpse into the some case studies we have come up with, mainly from Asia. And the first one is a UNESCO initiative. So UNESCO China worked with International Bamboo and Rattan organization, INBAR. So they launched a project last year, actually two years ago. They concluded the project last year. They call for the public to submit a proposal or to submit whatever they have voluntarily been doing in their own area, near or inside the World Heritage Sites, how they are operating and what kind of good experiences they can share about countering the climate change. So there are four main themes in this call for application. And the first one is how to deliver low carbon operation in a World Heritage Site, and how to do low carbon cultural tourism, and how to do those cultural innovative souvenir products. And the last one is how to do education for young people. Well, the third one is for the young people. And the last one is how to promote the cultural values of heritage sites. So this is a very good initiative, in my opinion, because it's very low cost and it's not too difficult to organize. And I went through the project material. There are a couple of very interesting stuff came up with. The first one is Wui Mountain. Wui Mountain is in Fujian province, southeastern China, across the Taiwan Strait. So there is a very famous mountain called Wui Shan, Wui Mountain. And one of the local province, as you can see in my drawing, it's about 140 kilometers from the main entrance of this site. But because it's mountainous area, so they are famous for their bamboo production. So they have used their bamboo resources to encourage people to produce more carbon sink, to do cultural tourism, and to how also to work with local business and local communities, deliver some of the very interesting public educational projects. So just to give you one example, they have built a carbon sink bank. So basically, this is on the one hand a promotion for people to understand what is really carbon sink. So how to consider, how to calculate the additionality of the carbon sink. Secondly, this is also a place where some people can do trade over how some business can use the funding to support the local farmers to plant more trees, more bamboos on the in the preservation area, larger, greater Weishan Mountain preservation area, to produce more carbon sink. So this is the rough idea. Another very interesting idea from the Yellow Mountain is that they have worked with local grocery stores, and all these grocery stores and supermarkets, they adopted a system. Then basically it was funded by the government money, and they purchased some gifts. So they work with the local community to encourage local residents to collect recyclable waste, and they can come to this supermarket to trade for all the gifts, including detergent, including shampoos, including bag of rice, this kind of stuff. So you can see that local people are very excited to participate. And another case study is from Indonesia. It's called Borobudur Buddhist temples. And this Borobudur Buddhist temples actually started working with Greenpeace on a project called a climate rescue station. That was a long time ago, more than 12 years ago. So I have to say, I think that's a very eye-opening project. It's basically a movable station. It's a stage. It's an exhibition hall. It's also a art installation designed by Greenpeace in 2008. And it travels around the world. And in 2012, it came to Indonesia. And they worked with Borobudur Conservation Agency, local heritage preservation organization, to set it up. So as you can see, people were doing very interesting promotion, using creative ideas. Since this is a Buddhist site, so enlightenment for Buddhists, it's something that we are all striving to do through our practice. But enlightenment in this context has another layer of meaning, that is to enlighten people on the kind of modest yet important behavior change we can adopt through understanding of the value of cultural heritage. So as you can see in these two photos on the left, you can see the local heritage agency. I haven't really gone through all the details of this project yet, so I'm not sure who actually paid for the installation of all these wind turbines. But obviously, the wind turbines and the solar panels were set up, on the site, so providing heating for this for the operation of this heritage site. On the right, the local staff members are giving introductions about the cultural significance as well as the green energy projects, initiatives started by this climate rescue station. I have also gone a little bit deeper to find that there are already some interesting local travel agencies. They are doing barbodo interesting walks in the area, but they are also adopting the carbon footprints. So they promise to the clients that they will plant trees. Again, this is something I'm not capable of verifying, but I think at least from promotion point of view, it's a good thing to have. So this is the design of climate rescue station, especially at night. It looks pretty good. So on the upper left corner, you can see this station, which is about 30, 40 square meters inside. It looks like a Earth, a model of the Earth, a globe. On the lower left, you can see during the daytime what the rescue station looked like. And on the bottom right, you can see the exhibition they have displayed inside the rescue station, as well as some music bands, how they are playing inside the rescue station when they were facing an audience. I'm sure it's not very difficult to attract a audience with this kind of innovative ideas. But I just feel it's a shame that this was only up and running for 2 weeks. I didn't really find any more information about the rescue station traveling in Asia. But I think this is a really good idea to have. I'm not sure about the cost of developing this kind of rescue station. But again, I hope that we can all get inspired. Maybe we can do something differently locally in each part of Asia. So this is the launch of the rescue station in other places. And the first one in 2008 in Koning in Poland, and then in 2009 in Copenhagen in Denmark. The third example I'm going to share is the Coffin group in Japan. The Coffin group is ancient tombs for the Japanese emperors. And this specific group is from the 4th to 6th century. So, as the relics from the ancient times for the ancient emperors, how much attraction it can be. The total number of visitors per year was about 136,000. So these are the local policies. I think in terms of environmental protection measures, I didn't see in my desk research, online research, I didn't see the administration of this Coffin group. Coffin referring to ancient tombs. So this Coffin group, they didn't do very many proactive measures, but from the municipality perspective, there's a lot of carbon neutral policies, encouraging the local business institutions, including the Coffin group and its affiliated museum, in establishing renewable energy facilities. So those are things we already discovered. So in terms of public education, they have also organized the local schools. I think working with the local schools seems like a very effective, and because through children, we will penetrate this kind of idea into the local communities through their parents. More interestingly, especially in line with the topic of this Cha Time party, that we consider this is part of Asian wisdom. So it's called a Satoyama initiative. Again, as I said, I'm not really from the environmental protection sector, so this is not familiar with to me until I started doing this research. But I find it eye-opening. I find it very inspirational to me, because this is a policy adopted by the Japanese Shogun government since the 16th, 17th century. And basically the idea back to the 16th, 17th century is that wherever there's a human settlement, you need firewood, you need timbers to build your buildings, firewood to heat your houses, to work with your kitchen. So people need to cut wood all the time. But to make sure that human being has a sustainable future, so as early as 16th, 17th century, the Japanese government were encouraging local people to have something called a Satoyama. Yama is mountain. Sato is referring to the neighboring areas. So each settlement, each city, each town has defined certain square acres of certain acres of firewood land. So whenever they cut some firewood, they will take turns to plant trees. So that will guarantee that in maybe 20 years' time, this new forest will be good enough for you to cut. So it takes turns. So basically, the resources, natural resources, were being recycled in a very healthy way. So I think I believe a few years ago, the Japanese government, working with some international societies, some international associations, started this new initiative called a Satoyama initiative, basically calling for all countries or human communities that take proactive measures in adopting similar policies locally. So I think this is a very good idea to have. The last one is from Pakistan. It's the historical monuments at Makale, Tata. And Tata is a very interesting area. First of all, it used to be the capital of Pakistan for some time, for about 400 years. And then there were 3 ancient capitals built in the valley, but it was abandoned. So that's why it's becoming a ruin. But the abandonment also kept lots of the traditional or historical features. So other than the palaces, there was also a huge group of cemetery area on top of the mountain, not too far from the valley. So that is the site. It was listed as a World Heritage in 1981. And I found a very interesting cultural center called Zero Carbon Cultural Center. As you can see, all the local materials all the materials are locally acquired. So they have used mainly bamboo, which is very, very efficient, very cheap, but also very sustainable. The bamboo forest can replace the old ones very quickly. And for the brick buildings, they're also using locally acquired ram earth to build to fire the bricks. And you can see it not too far from the core preservation area. This zero carbon center is only about 1.6 kilometer from the center of this World Heritage Site. More interestingly, the architect behind that cultural center, Madam Yasmin Lari, she's a very famous architect in Pakistan, obviously. and she has won a gold medal award from RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects, last year. And it was all because of her achievements in Pakistan, targeting the lower income population, and to her determination in fighting the climate change. So she used to be a designer for very many monumental architectures in Karachi, other places in Pakistan. But since her retirement in 2000, she focused on low-cost, low-carbon humanitarian projects. So that was something that everybody should admire and really feel inspired. So she also founded a heritage foundation in Pakistan. But again, because of the time limit, I didn't really go through very many information. But I believe that she has a project targeting the housing issues for low-income classes. She has designed a correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe her budget for a house for individual family was only about $30-40 US dollars, and with maybe $10 more, you can have your own toilet in the house. So of course, I'm sure she has a very mature methodology to achieve that. When I see that number, I was astonished. But I think because of the warm climate in Pakistan, it's quite a different story from Beijing. So I guess this is something we can learn, but we can't really copy to Beijing because of the severe winter we have here. But anyway, I think that's what I'm going to share with you. I think that climate change is something that will be this issue will be with us, will be with our generation for a long time. Although different government, different institutions or different scholars have different views or different targets. But I think this is something worth being discussed in all walks of life. And I'm also firmly believe that with participation from World Heritage administrations like Forbidden City, like the few World Heritage sites I mentioned in my talk, it will raise bigger and bigger awareness among the public, and hopefully and jointly we can solve this problem altogether within our generation's time. So that's what I'm going to share. Thank you very much. And we can open for discussions.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was a wonderful presentation, and I am so excited now to open the discussion up to our roundtable. So again, our two roundtable members, thank you very much for being here, Ms. Momo and Mr. Fauzy. And I will start by asking Ms. Momo to share her remarks.
Thank you, Amanda. And thank you, Matthew, for the excellent presentation on the role that the cultural heritage sites play in combating against climate change challenges. And I think that is also in line with what UNESCO has been advocating for, that role of the culture and natural World Heritage sites are playing in absorbing carbon, as well as delivering the messages, not just about the threatened by the climate change to the sites, but also what the sites can do. And that is what we have promoted in the few months ago, in the last COP28, the role of culture, heritage, and art playing and mitigating climate change impacts. And for me, that is really learning from your presentation, and also thought of what we have in Myanmar, for example, like Bagan heritage sites, because most of the World Heritage Sites encompasses not only the monument, but also the surrounding old communities as well as the living historic settlements. So there may be two points that what World Heritage Sites policy from the government to showcase how important that is to go to the taking consideration of the climate change challenges and how to advocate, how to raise awareness and educate, because these sites are where the many people, local as well as international visitors, are packed with. And then some of the project can also showcase as a demonstration project to raise awareness among them, because popular World Heritage Sites are becoming a popular tourist destination. And what government or the local businesses trying to do is to accommodate as much as they can to all those demands. So they are becoming subject to the new development, new construction, and replacing the old settlement with the new hotels that are being constructed by using the modern materials, like glasses or the tiles that they imported or brought from far. So that is threatening, of course, the character of the historic landscape, as well as not really in line with the long-term sustainability of the sites and environment. So it would be great. These can be demonstrate how the local materials are very in line with the local character of the architecture and usage of the local materials would encourage the new developments. And also because these sites are having more and more outsiders, people, and it becoming the subject that the nature of the original settlements living in a quiet and traditional way of living in line with the natures are being impacted as well. So that maybe the local youth may be following or adapting the new modern culture, but that will be impact that their original food culture, traditional agricultural practices, or the art, creativities or things. So that it's also that if that can be also encouraged, that the local practices, traditional wisdoms and knowledges, which has been in this area for a long time, what kind of food, what kind of plants to grow, not by planting out the foreign species or things. So I think that would be also good, that most of the government should adapt to it. And of course, some of the points that you have mentioned to recycle or manage the waste products, because many of the heritage sites has been quite a problem with the waste management things. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Momo. I appreciate your comments. And Fauzy, would you like to share as well?
Yes, thanks, Amanda. And thank you so much for your presentation, Matthew. It was really insightful. So for Asian wisdom, it has been a profound influence on climate change action, especially in the context of how we manage and preserve our heritage sites. So this wisdom is deeply entrenched in our relationship between nature and humanity, and is embodied in both the tradition and dynamic innovations of the Asian culture. So this traditional ecological knowledge has played a role in our landscape and biodiversity management in our fight against climate change now. So looking at the Sayotama initiative that Matthew presented, so the landscape epitomizes the traditional symbiotic relationship between the rural community and the surrounding forests. And this relationship integrates biodiversity conservation with sustainable resource use, showing how traditional knowledge can contribute to ecological stability and climate resilience. The management practices in this area that Matthew has mentioned includes like controlled burns, rotating wood harvesting, enhancing landscape capacity to act as carbon sinks, and thus all of this action contribute directly to the climate change mitigation. And outside of the realm of World Heritage Sites, I'd like to bring some focus to the ASEAN Heritage Parks program. It has really showed that us as ASEAN countries, we have really taken the step in regional effort to combine our traditional knowledge and modern conservation techniques to combat climate change. And this initiative not only conserves the natural habitat, but also ensures that the local community are actively engaging in environmental sustainability and climate adaptive practices. But what I like to bring up is that each of us as individuals or in whatever job that we do, we bear a moral obligation to manage climate change. So whether you are policymakers crafting legislation or organization implementing sustainable practices, architects, or everyday citizens making eco-conscious choice in our daily lives, we all play a crucial role in shaping that trajectory in combating climate change for our planet's future. So we must acknowledge that this burden for climate change often affects one more than the other. It's either the vulnerable communities, future generation, people who have least contributed to climate crisis. It is important to prioritize the equity and justice in our efforts to mitigate and adapt to the effects of climate change. So for like an architect like me or policymakers, we could just say, okay, we'll just buy carbon neutral credits. And this building is already carbon neutral. But I think we could go further than that. We should ask our conscience or North Star to guide us whether is the right direction that we are going together. So by embracing our collective responsibility, I think we can harness the power to confront the environmental challenge together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fauzy. And thank you to both of our members of the roundtable. Now that you've both made your responses, I will open up the discussion to a roundtable discussion. So please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions, to raise your hand over Zoom, or to simply drop questions in the chat. But yes, does anyone want to start? If not, I can start with my own question, and as people have questions that arise, they can start to add them to our chat box in the side, or again, you're welcome to unmute yourself as time goes. So the first question I would like to ask, I suppose of all of you. Well, actually, my first question will be for Ms. Momo and Mr. Fauzy. And I would love to hear a little bit more about how you think World Heritage Sites can incorporate climate change actions from other sectors that you've worked in. And Mr. Matthew, this can be a question for you too as well.
should start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think for my closest examples in our country, because of that, before the climate change really impacting on the Earth side, what impacting is the development demand, development pressure. So because we really need to manage well, otherwise that the historic landscape it's been quite reducing. Even the new developments are trying to get into the what UNESCO's defined boundaries. So in this case, these new developments are really impacting the landscape as well as the site, because all these sites are historic sites and all the earth are still not yet explored or yet to be excavated for the archaeological evidences. So that building control or the material identification should be, while in the not to damage that local landscape, but also trying to get that climate agenda or the sustainability agenda. We have to encourage them to go along with this in choosing the materials and the design or even the layout where you're going to decide to put the new structure or because actually in the boundaries there's many like centuries, some 1,000 years old villages are there, and they have been there for a long time, and still some areas still intact. But then because of this pressure and demand of the tourism, then even the hotels are started occupying into the villages. So I think these two issues can go together so that the two problems are being solved. Thanks.
For me, I just think we just need to make better conscious decision, because any hands we try to put in to try to fix certain things, whether we try to fix this issue through building codes, fixing it through policy, it will affect how the free market works. And affecting how the free market works, that will not be good for our economy. So for example, as what Momo has touched about, building materials, we could be conscious that we get resource locally, so we don't have all this carbon credits flying in from getting, let's say, stones or steel or concrete from another country. So I think for us, making better conscious decision is, I think, the absolute choice, rather than trying to put in all these other issues, policies in order to help incorporate into climate change action. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Thank you both very much. We have a question from the audience. It is from Dr. Kratihari Kumbundaba. Would you like to ask your question, Dr. Katrini?
Okay, thank you, Amanda.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Matthew. How are you? Yeah, it was a great presentation. We learned a lot as well, also from Momo and also Fauzy, yeah, for the enlightenment session this afternoon. Yeah, well, I think despite of the heavy rain and also disaster in Dubai, that we went there together for the COP28, but I think we also learned a lot. That's already mentioned by Matthew, the importance of all the nature to be considered as part of our cultural heritage conservation. As well, Momo already mentioned also about the result of COP28. So I believe now we are in Asia, feel now stronger and more confident to bring up the idea for nature in a culture in the climate action. But maybe I would like to ask each of you opinion for maybe we have to have also the input for our colleagues or our friends in the Western countries, because us, we from Asian or Eastern countries now having a stronger idea for having a culture as a climate action. But what will be our suggestion for our colleagues in the Western countries? So is it also the thing about the traditional things there? I don't think so in the Western countries. So what are there that we can motivate or also giving them the ideas to bringing up what they can do more for the climate change and then also the conservation based for their own roots. So I think that's my question. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Now can we hear, thank you for your question, Ibu Ari. Can I hear your responses from our roundtable members and Mr. Matthew?
So if I take Katrini's question correctly, I think she is asking, from Asian countries, we are, as I described earlier, that these are the measures we are taking to counter climate change. So are there anything different from the Western countries, how they are dealing with this same world global matter, global challenge? I think, in my opinion, there's not drastic differences in this research, at least in the 16 examples. Of course, the built heritage itself, the Western built heritage and the Asian built heritage look quite differently, because Asian heritage is mainly made of wood and bricks. Wooden bricks are all natural materials, and the Western, well, they are also using natural materials, but most of them are more stable. Our materials are much easier to be affected by climate conditions. The rain, the harsh winter weather, everything will cause damage to Asian buildings. So for the Western built heritage, I think it's slightly more different in terms of how they are dealing with this issue. For example, I think some of the heritage in the West. Take one example, the Sydney Opera House. I think Sydney Opera House it was only completed in 1960s, and became a World Heritage in early 1990s, I believe. So what they are doing is really, on the one hand, very from a more technical perspective and less traditional wisdom, I would say. So, for example, they are building, they're building more colonies. They're planting a lot of what do you call it? This kind of triangle stuff made of steel rod, and place them at the bottom of the ocean, but next to the opera house, so to encourage ecological diversity. So that's a more scientific approach. I wouldn't say it's too much traditional wisdom, because that doesn't seem to me like a traditional fish industry in that area that inspired this kind of counter climate change measures. And because the whole building was also managed within one roof, sort of one roof. So it's different from many other traditional towns that are scattered, very difficult to manage. So within one building, you can perhaps set up one set of equipment. So I think in that sense, perhaps it's a little bit more technical than traditional wisdom. I don't know if I'm making my point clear. Okay.
Yes, yes. So I think for the Western country, it's it's totally a different condition, yeah, with us. For the root of the culture, we are stronger. So maybe there is need also more efforts. Yeah, I think I agree with what you said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
Amanda, if there's not many questions yet, maybe I have a question for the participants of this chat time.
Yes, of course.
Because I'm still doing this research, so I'm wondering, because you know your part of the world better, so if you see any interesting examples or case studies in terms of how the heritage administration are taking proactive measures to counter climate change. Maybe can you share one or two, anyone? Because it takes me a lot of effort to really dig into the tons of information online to find the 30 minutes presentation I shared with you on a very simplified manner. But if there's any good clues from you or suggestions for possible further directions, further research directions for further research, I'll be very grateful to hear from you. Or some of them doesn't have to be World Heritage. It can be just the local heritage.
Does anyone know some examples?
Momo, you mentioned something from Burma. Can you maybe elaborate your example a little bit more?
In terms of organization, for the World Heritage Sites, they also have the local heritage organization that also working together with the government departments. But I think that how active they are, it's different from place to place. But what I see is, I'm not sure very much in detail, but they have done such at least like a waste clearance or trying to manage that the cleanliness or thing. But I don't know how active or how effective their efforts are. Yeah. In the urban conservation organizations, there's the more organization trying to get involved with the planning and the city municipalities, and so maybe some of the activities to create public spaces or the waste management, or those also combined with their principle, the heritage conservation's work. Yeah.
We have one comment that's been shared. Kankia Ao said, in Angkor, we encourage locals to build traditional houses, which is easily adaptable to nature and the environment, reforestation, etc. The problem is the material for house building that requires wood as a primary source. Thank you for sharing that. We have Xinghan Lo, it seems, raising their hand. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, actually I have a question for all the people. And this question may be a little bit related to what Matthew Hu just mentioned, but not too much. So my question is, in your past observations and experiences, is there any case where intangible cultural heritage was taken into account? Maybe the local knowledge was used to mitigate the climate problem of the heritage site, or maybe the local intangible cultural heritage preservation was taken into consideration when protecting the heritage site. Yeah, because the reason I have this question is because normally heritage sites usually contain not only tangible heritage, but perhaps a lot of intangible things as well. And in many Asian countries, in many developing countries, the protection of intangible cultural heritage is also comprehensive and is related to maybe a wider range of environments, so to speak, maybe physical environments, social environments, and economic environments. And for example, the protection of heritage sites in coastal areas, intangible cultural heritage may have a very important role to play. So I was wondering if there is any case, can anyone share it?
Can I?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, because there was I went to Bagan when after World Heritage happened, but in the background, it's in the previous military government time, 20 or more years ago, that the government trying to promote the Bagan as a major heritage site by clearing that settlements, old settlements who have been living around those monument area in the city. So they have been just moved directly by order away and settles in a bit far southern side of the major area. So nowadays, those communities quite suffer at that time because they don't have much support to clearing and settling down in the new area. And then what they have been saying is why they were living a long time, that settlements and monument together in the old area. This is a part of their life in every morning to go and clean the temples to the upper tiers up to the very far top and pray at the first thing in the morning. So living together with the community who has been in that area with the faith in their tradition and their culture, it's part that they are taking care of the monuments, maintenance, longevity, and under their watchful eyes, and from the theft or any archaeological, or what you call that, the treasure hunters or things. So while they were away, and that has been designated totally just for the heritage and to attract in terms of attracting the tourism and things. Some of the government policies are why they want to protect the monument. They didn't allow anyone for their safety of the, in the reason is the safety of the structure. So not allow anyone to go up. So that's what communities complain. So no one knows what ever happened, or losing the brick, or some has been collapsing, or no one would know because of its inner locked temples. So I think that is what local practices and the belief and the traditional practices that are also in the maintaining the structures as well.
Thank you very much, Dalmomo. I'd like to share, there are some other examples that have been shared in the chat from Helen from Cambodia, placing metal scaffolding with bamboo, synthetic materials by shrouding reeds, which also gives employment opportunities for locals and reduces carbon-heavy materials. Fani said in the Satayama program in Chiba and Chiyoda Business District area, Tokyo, they plant forests in Chiba and then cut and fill and put them in Chiyoda Business District area, Tokyo, in order to heal the ecosystem after development. This project also has a program to revitalize the moat near the Imperial Palace in order to build the biodiversity of the ecosystem. Oh, and Fanny has just added another. This project, which she has linked, also releases an app called Tokyo Oasis that can help people who are in the Chiyoda area to find greenery in Tokyo. Thank you all for sharing. Those are great examples, and I'm excited to learn more about them. And we have Professor Hari, who it seems has a question as well. Professor Hari, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Amanda. This is Hari Srinivas from Kobe in Japan. I'm actually a classmate of Momo. Hi, Momo. I just want to comment on Matthew's presentation. He raised a number of very interesting issues, essentially bringing together on one hand environmental issues integrated with heritage issues. And I think you very rightly raised the dilemma of integration, because many times both these two issues, these two themes, don't seem to work together. Heritage is heritage, environmental management is environmental management. One concept that is in currency right now, which you brought up but you didn't hear mention, is called FEW, Matthew. FEW, FEWW. What does it mean? It means food, energy, water, and waste. When we talk of low carbon initiatives, climate sensitive initiatives, we in concrete terms, which you have very nicely raised with your examples, we call it FEW. Food and initiatives focused on food, energy, water, and waste. That is the primary areas of focus which are necessary for a climate sensitive initiative. You see, many of the things that you raised, whether it is for composting your kitchen waste things, solar energy, wind energy, all this fit into this concept of FEW. How you bring all these, it's not individual projects, but it's an integrated approach where you look at all these four aspects together and each supporting the other, like water supporting energy and energy supporting waste, etc. So when it comes to integrating environmental issues into heritage management aspects, I think FEW is a very interesting approach to take that might work as a concrete strategy. The second thing, especially relevant here in Japan, which is a lesson in environmental management that can very well be fit into heritage management also. And that's the GET framework. Again, I'm sorry, I'm using a lot of acronyms here. GET, governance, education, technology. A lot of environmental aspects in Japan are managed using this framework of governance, whether it is laws, legislations, rules and regulations, etc. That is primary focus of the government. The second aspect is education and awareness. You raised this up very nicely in a presentation, Matthew, where local communities need to be made aware and involved in the process of heritage management. But in Japan, you learn that from the environmental perspective. So education and awareness building, which is the primary focus of the local community, NGOs, and other groups. The last one is technology. Technology in terms of techniques and solutions. Many of the Momo and Fauzy, raised this issue of local materials, local techniques. These are all technology issues. So what you learn very quickly when you look at heritage management in Japan is, environmental management in Japan is this marriage of governance, education, technology, again, as an integrated approach, which helps us to bring together a number of stakeholders and initiatives together. Because you cannot have heritage management, you cannot have environmental management with only rules and regulations or with only awareness, but you need all three together, whether it is governance, whether it is education, technology, and linking all those three things together. Again, a lesson from Japan is finance. How very clearly government funds is allocated for each of these three elements for heritage management. So when we look at both environmental management, there is a lot we can learn from that for heritage management, and of course, vice versa. Because many of the dilemmas that you face in environmental management is very much present in heritage. One of the things, for example, is community involvement and awareness, which again you brought up, Matthew, but it's the link between these two. How do you bring about involvement of the community, awareness, understanding that lifestyles is the starting point for any kind of environmental management issue? But you brought it up nicely that and lifestyles is also an issue that affects heritage management. I think so the fourth one I want to just quickly highlight is the fact that we have to be careful with buzzwords. There is a fatigue, a climate fatigue, if you want to call, in using words, using buzzwords. You can say low carbon, and all of us here on the seminar will understand. But you go up to your grandmother and say, let's have a low carbon lifestyle, she won't understand. So we have to use strategies, we have to use words that ordinary people can understand, so that they can. I call this the grandmother syndrome, where we try to use strategies, we try to use words that ordinary people can understand and be involved in the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your comments, Professor Hari. And I wanted to point out particularly to Xinghan and Lo that Ms. Jarni made a reply in the comments if you're curious to learn more. And I wanted to ask, no one has their hand raised, but does anyone else have any questions for the roundtable? Or at the roundtable, do you have any responses to Professor Hari's comments?
I will perhaps just address the question of Ms. Low. She asked about the intangible heritage. I think that the building projects of Madam Yasmin Lori probably is a good example you can look into if you're very interested in the intangible aspect. I'm sure she learned from the local building craftsmanship, which should be part of the indigenous and intangible craftsman heritage. So other than that, I think the kind of lifestyle in the so sorry, I have to go back to my PowerPoint. I can't really remember all these terms, but yeah. So I think the Satoyama initiative. I think the Satoyama initiative is also a kind of intangible heritage. So maybe those are the two case studies you can focus on if you are if this is the area you are very interested in.
Thank you for that response, Matthew. Are there any other questions or comments from the audience or from our roundtable members? If not, we're approaching time, so we can close out the session, but I just want to check the last time. Somebody just asked in the chat, could this meeting be replayed as they arrived late? It will be available on the SEACHA YouTube channel, and we will upload it soon. So on that note, I will close out the session by saying thank you so much, Mr. Matthew, and thank you to our roundtable members, Mr. Fauzy and Ms. Momo, for a wonderful event today. And thank you to all of our audience for your insightful questions and everything shared. And with that, please follow our Instagram, Facebook, and you can sign up for our emails on the website. I am adding these links into the chat as well so that you have access to them. And on all of these sites, in addition to the question about replaying the video, we will post on our social media once the video is uploaded to our YouTube channel. So for anyone who missed part of the event, you're welcome to rewatch it, share it with friends, and please also subscribe to our various social media and our email newsletter for updates about our next Cha Time in May, which will be announced very soon. But thank you so much, everyone. It was wonderful to have you all today, and thank you for a wonderful episode of Cha Time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.